Welcome to the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Mwachuku. We'll start off with the highlights. Peter Obi detained the candidate in the February 25 port in London from Nigeria on Good Friday, April 7, 2023, and joined the queue for the necessary airport protocols when he was accosted by immigration officials who handed him a detention note and told him to step aside. He was questioned for a long time, and it was very strange for a man who lived for over a decade in that country. Onifade also disclosed that since the impersonator is still at large, the scenario is unimaginable, as Peter Obi could be implicated in a series of forbidden acts and even be framed in a manner that could be a huge embarrassment to him, his family, his party, the Obedient movement in Nigeria, where he currently and remains a conscience of the people. Onifado also recalled that Peter Obi has been under all kinds of attack since the February 25th, 2023 presidential election, in which he put up an outstanding showing, coming third out of 18 contestants as announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Though his supporters and many other election watchers, including international observers, believed very strongly that he won the election but was manipulated out. But for the intervention of his supporters, known as Obedience, Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi would have spent more hours in detention. Now I have via the telephone Mr. Elvis Elimihele, who is a journalist, a public affairs commentator, and also a political analyst. Mr. Elvis, good afternoon and welcome to the World News at 12.
Good afternoon, Esther. How are you doing?
Fine. You heard this particular recent development where Peter Obi was recently detained in the UK airport concerning a vice of impersonation. And this was due to the fact that apparently before it was discovered that somebody was impersonating him, there have been a series of criminal activities attributed to this impersonator, going about carrying out some criminal activities. Now, Onifade, the media head of the Obidati campaign movement, said that this particular impersonator would have been carrying on heavy, weighty crimes, which would not be good on the person of Peter Obi. Weighty crimes, which in future, if at all this situation is not properly investigated and dealt with, would not be good for the person of Peter Obi. Now, a very important personality as Peter Obi, how comes the UK just did not know on time that he was being impersonated, considering the fact that it's been all over the media how he's one of the top contenders for the presidential elections?
Yeah, Esther, it baffles my imagination that the UK government, the British government can, embarrass somebody of standing or quality, somebody like Peter Obi. This is a man that I've lived with them for more than a decade, and this is a man that even during his campaign campaign during the presidential election in Nigeria, he was in Chatham House. To give to the world the possibility of turning Nigeria into a first world nation if given the opportunity to rule this nation. So if there are impersonators, against using his name, I think the British government ought to know on the 7th of this month when he was in UK for his Easter break. But I have to thank God for Mr. Dino Onifade, who have briefed the press on this matter. This is what we call democracy and leadership.
Dino actually disclosed that he was kept put for a long time, going through some interrogation process. That if not for the Obedience, that is the supporters of Peter Obi there to help rescue the situation, it may have become a more embarrassing circumstance to him. Yes. Now, he also said something that recently there have been quite a number of attacks on the person of Peter Obi. You recall on this particular platform about last week when the leaked audio came out, and I asked a question. I said Peter Obi is not the only presidential candidate who ran for the just concluded 2023 elections. There are about 18 other registered, verifiable, approved political parties by INEC. How comes amongst the top 3, or let's just say the top 4, the Labour Party is the one that has held rancor? There's been quite a number of attributes concerning the person of Peter Obi and the party that he actually ran the flag on. We have the PDP, which came second in the just concluded polls. All right. We also have the NNPP as well. So how comes there have been quite a number of anomalies, a lot of responses, breakbacks between some elites in the polity as well as, the average Nigerian on the person of Peter Obi and the party itself?
Yeah, Esther, there is an adage in my place that says a tree that does not have fruit, it doesn't receive stoning from children, and nobody will be interested in, wanting to stone the tree to get something out of it. Obi is a phenomenon. Obi is a factor as far as Nigeria politics is concerned, and even Africa in general. Look at the way this man came. He came with the trajectory that I am not here. I'm not in politics because of religion or ethnicity. These are the games that have been going on in this part of the world over the years. They say I'm here for competence, I'm here for capacity, for credibility, and all of that. And look at the way he was able to galvanize the youth, and the youth, surrounded him, and throughout the election, the obedience became a factor. This is the fear of the opposition. If you look at the opposition these days now, everything they are talking about now, they just suddenly remember the youth now. Ever before now, nobody talked about Nigeria youth. Remember this present president even called them lazy youth. There is no name that have not been used to castigate the youth before now. But Obi said there's something good in this youth. The problem this youth has is that since they came into this country as citizens of this country, they never enjoyed anything from the government. They be struggling on their own. Look at our children that are doing well in the entertainment industry, in the sports and all others, even in the literary world. Look at our Nigerian citizens that are doing so well, but there is no encouragement from the government. But he came in on the mantra that the youth will find is
outcome of the 2023 Nigerian presidential election because of their wrong mindset prior to the polls. Lai Mohammed said that he is there to defend the legitimacy. He said he is there to defend the legitimacy of the just concluded general elections and corrects the perceived imbalance in the narratives which had pervaded the air regarding the polls. The minister has so far engaged with 3 international media organizations, The Economist, The Guardian, and African Confidential, as well as to think tank Royal African Society. Now, during this respective meeting with them, the minister said some of the commentators had the wrong mindset that the Labour Party and its presidential candidate Peter Obi would win the election. So he says that based on possibly the hype of activities of the obedience as the supporters of Peter Obi, that there was an overflow of the hype of his person, and then gave international commentators an over bloated hype on the person of Peter Obi, giving them a mindset that he possibly would win the election. So he said that the wrong mindset was premised on the hyped activities of the Labour Party and their supporters on social media, as well as the outcomes of various opinion polls which were unrepresentative of the situation in Nigeria. He also said that INEC should be praised for the introduction and the strict usage of the bimodal voter accreditation system. He said Beavers was a technology that paved the way for check
in London during this holiday. He came out and told the world that this is what happened to my principal. Our fear is that this man that is impersonating him will go further to use his name in more damaging crime that will further malign the name and the reputation of my principal. He's addressing it. It's not attacking anybody. They have told the people to leave Nigeria. This same government has sent somebody out to send the minister out now, with our tax-paying money to go and be laundering their image all over the world. Can as well arrange this kind of impersonation just to pull the bit down. But what we are looking at is that no matter how difficult, no matter how dark the darkness may be, definitely the daytime will always come. So Obi at this time should see what he's going through. What is going through at this time, should see it as sacrifice to liberate Nigerians and Nigerian youth, to liberate this country, for us to have a credible country that we can be proud of anytime we are out of the shores of this nation or even within the shores of this nation. Because what has happened over the years has shown that the cabal that held this country down don't want a change. That's what you are seeing. But we know this change is not a 100-meter dash. It's going to be a marathon that will continue to build on, obedience to continue to build on, Nigerians continue to build on, Nigerians of goodwill, Nigerians who want the best for this country. Imagine what everything, place this country in all the economic sector of this country. There's nothing you can bring out of it.
But for over 10 years, Peter Obi had always gone to the UK or to the US. He definitely can go to any country of his choice. How comes all of a sudden he's been detained over an impersonation offense? If someone is impersonating somebody, is it not to possibly ask the person and say, oh, well, it seems that with your name and with your face, somebody has been carrying out some criminal activities. We've done our investigations and realized it is not you. Why taking him and putting him aside and interrogating him when he was supposed to enjoy the Easter holidays for whatever it is that you traveled to London for? I'm sure Peter Obi is definitely okay back home, or but the thing is that particular moment of embarrassment possibly is already on record. So if the British government supposedly could not do its due diligence for someone who has been visiting the UK for as long as possible, even during the campaigns he visited there, how comes this just came up and then they just began to realize that this particular individual who is impersonating Peter Obi was someone they could not nip in the bud or find out who he was before they asked him to step aside while he was on queue at the UK airport?
Yeah, that's my fear with the British government. The British government should not join the Nigeria government to hit up the polity. They should be able to come up as an umpire, being our founding father, being our father, our colonial father before now. They should be able to come up with the truth in this matter and let the truth prevail. Obi is not a new name, it's not a new face to the British government. So trying to embarrass him along with what Nigeria government is doing, Nigerians should resist it, because Nigerians did not just follow Obi. The Nigerians are following Obi because they found credibility in him. Among Nigerian politicians, they see that we could work with this one because this one we've seen his past, and we know that with what he did in the past as governor of Anambra State, he will be able to position things if he's given the opportunity to be president of this country.
Do you think that this is another method again? Because let's not use even opposition political parties. Supposedly critics of the Labour Party, critics of Peter Obi, possibly just want something indicting to be on record about him. If you have something indicting on record on the All Progressives, if you have something indicting on the record of the All Progressives Congress, concerning the $460,000, which has kind of dented his person, regardless, even if he has denied it, could it be that this is one of the measures through which they want to put a dent on his person and make it seem like he also is not as a saint as he's being painted or as he's being put out there by his supporters?
Exactly. They are looking for somebody to pull down. A drowning man will head on to anything that he finds in his way. They are also looking for something to use to dent his image. Look at the phone call. Ordinary phone call to a bishop has become an issue here in Nigeria. A minister went to Washington and said he should be arrested for treason. So they are looking for everything, because this man, all throughout the period of the campaign, since he declared his intention to as an aspirant to a candidate throughout, they have looked for everything to nail him. They didn't get it. So now they didn't get anything. So they are now coming up with so many other new things just for them to also hold on to. Look at ordinary phone call. They are not talking about what the most indicted ones that they cannot even prove before Nigerians, but they are talking about ordinary phone call. So people who could go to that level, to stoop so level to that phone call conversation, because it could up with this kind of impersonator to begin to look for where to nail Obi's name, so that they will tell Nigerians that he's not as credible, he's not as clean, he's not as sincere as we think he is.
All right, so here is also this particular development, which I'm sure you're already aware of, where the Independent National Electoral Commission has asked the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal in Abuja to dismiss all the petitions challenging the declaration of Bola Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress as the winner of the February 25 presidential elections. You recall that INEC declared that Tinubu polled 8,794,726 votes to win the election. The commission declared that the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, came second, while the Labour Party actually came third as the second runner-up with 6,101,533 votes. But Atiku, Peter Obi, and some other parties rejected the results announced by INEC and actually headed for the tribunal with prayers that the election should be nullified. He literally went further to say that in its defense to the various petitions filed through its team of lawyers, it described Atiku's petition as grossly incompetent, vague, and academic, saying it was an abuse of court process. So INEC affirmed that having scored at least 1/4 of the valid votes cast in 29 states, which is all over and above the 24-state threshold required by the Constitution, in addition to scoring the highest number of lawful votes cast at the election, Tinubu was properly declared winner and returned as a president-elect. So would you say this particular development or this particular scenario with what INEC said concerning the just concluded elections while they were trying to defend it at the Election Petition Tribunal, they literally stated that based on the Constitution, Bola Ahmed Tinubu won without any infractions or crime attached to it?
Yeah, nobody is doubting the pronouncement of INEC that Bola Ahmed Tinubu won the election, but we are looking at the process and the procedure and all the irregularity that's followed the election. What INEC told us was that they were going to transmit result from polling unit to their IRF portal, in no time for Nigerians to view. But we saw 24 hours after the election, we never saw anything on the IRF portal of INEC. Then we now saw that at the end of the day, when the portal was open, we started seeing result of from some other states. You see the result of another state in another state's portal. So all those irregularities are the process. So this is challenging the process, number one, because it is not what they told the world, even Nigeria alone, that was carried out in the election. And also a situation where somebody INEC will come up and wanting to to defend their name because they know that there are infractions in what they did. It's common, Nobody will want to own up, in any crime. That's why you see when they get to court, they say even though they are guilty, they are not guilty because they want to drag it. But we are waiting for the judiciary to do the due interpretation and come up with whatever and let Nigerians know where the law stands, because Abuja is still under contention. Somebody are saying that, none of them, both the APC and PDP never won Abuja, and Abuja is also a case. We want interpretation for that. Then we are waiting for all the political parties have their own situation room. If they can collect their result from their respective polling unit and be able to use it in the court to counter what INEC have and what INEC declared, then we'll be able to also know from there whether there is truth in what INEC is telling us or not. If actually he has the spread and he has the highest number of votes, the political party should be able, Labour Party should be able to come up with whatever they have from their situation room, collated by their various agents in their polling unit. They should be able to tender it in court and use it to counter whatever result INEC declared. These are things that are still going forward. They've just started. We are going to see more. INEC will definitely not own up, because they are supposed to be the umpire that conducted this election, that Nigerians were so hopeful that we're going to, get an election that is different from all what we have been having before, according to their promise and according to what the federal government released to them, the billions they released to them to fix their homes in order. But the result we got is not encouraging. It's not commensurate to what Nigerians expected. So now that they have started sitting and the defense has started coming up, let every person, all the parties, tidy up their own end and be able to defend effectively with whatever allegation they have against what INEC have to.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Elvis, for helping us to flesh out this particular information on the World News at 12. I do appreciate your input as usual.
Thank you.
All right, on stories outside the shores of Nigeria, U.S. President Joe Biden says he is here to listen as he holds brief talks with UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak during a visit to Belfast. Biden will meet Northern Ireland political leaders, then give a speech at Ulster University at lunchtime. Also, there is a huge police presence in Belfast as the U.S. President begins a 4-day visit to Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. Police are investigating a security breach in Belfast after a member of the public apparently found a copy of the operational orders given to officers.